Welcome to the Horse Tourneys Players Championship, round 2 of the 2021 Tourney Triple. I'm Scott Carson, founder of Sport of Kings, and I'm here with my co-host, Chris Larmey. Chris, $555,000 in prize money with $200,000 going to the winner. A worthy first-time running of the championship.
You bet. $200,000 for a contest. That gets your attention really quickly. And there's actually day money for the end of today. And I think it's a $13,000 paycheck just to finish first at the end of day one. So a lot of contest strategy in play here near the end of the day, because people aren't only trying to position themselves for the title and that $200,000 paycheck, but they're also thinking about trying to earn a little money up front here with $13,000 on the line to the winner on day one.
That's right. And to complicate matters, and it's a good complication in my opinion, this is an all optional tournament. So there are 30 races to choose from, and 15 you have to make plays. You get to make plays on 15 different races. So you got to look at the races ahead and say, like, where do I think a low price is going to come in? Where do I think a high long shot has a chance to come in? That's where you want to capitalize.
Yes, that really does add to the fun, I think, and the contest strategy. Now you have race selection in play along with, making a selection within a race. So only half the races are in play for each entry. And like you said, you have to think about what's the best way for me to separate from the field. And like in any sort of contest, it's you against the opposition, and you're trying to find ways where you can zig when they zag and maybe create a little space and get a little value. So that race selection is just as important as picking a winner of the race. And both of those will come into play throughout today, especially near the end, and also tomorrow. And in fact, you can already see some of the players are taking some different approaches to things in terms of race selection, because many of the players have used most of their selections, but quite a few have, 7 or 8 plays left here in the last part of this Santonita and Golden Gate card.
Yeah, it does seem a little peculiar because the races don't look that great. I personally do like the last 2 at Golden Gate, so I would be reserving 2 plays for that, but I'm not sure if I would have saved any plays for the rest of Santonita.
Yeah, I think there's some potential plays on the Santonita card, but having 7 or 8 plays, that does seem like I did not have to admit I did not handicap all the earlier races on these cards or at Keeland and Aqueduct that were also part of the contest. So I don't know how target rich the environment was. Maybe it was slim pickings early on, but I am a little surprised at the number of picks remaining on many of the players near the top of the leaderboard. Still have quite a few left. So I mean that's actually good for them, because they still have more opportunities to add to their score, but they won't be that selective going forward, because we're only talking, I think, 8 more races in the contest. So if you have 8 plays, you're playing every race. The race selection part has been already solved. It's an easy problem to solve when you have 8 races and 8 plays.
Yeah, and actually, I did just quickly handicap because I was a little behind and didn't get a chance to look at the Santa Anita races. But the 6th at Santa Anita does look like a playable race. There's a long shot in there that I like, but when we'll talk about that when we get to that race. Why don't we take a look at the leaderboard and see what we got? And we can see that are we up? Yeah, we've got the leaderboard up. Okay, so Basil DeVito, is it Basil or Basel?
I think it's Basil. He's a player, and he's a really interesting character too. And he's having a good day.
Definitely have seen him on some leaderboards, and also Chris Bertolucci. He's always out there. He's always there. Stephen Thompson, who won the Keeland Grade 1 Gamble last year.
Yeah, the Undertaker. He finished in front of me. He's the guy that passed me up on the last race.
He deep sixed the competition.
Yes, he crushed me. I thought I was going to win, but he made sure that wasn't going to happen. Yeah, he's definitely a good contest player. Any format, he's dangerous.
And Brian Chenver, or I don't know if it's Chenver or Chenvert, but I think it's Chenver, but he won the Pegasus a couple of years ago. So we've got some major tournament names here. There's Eric Kurzhall. He's done well. I sat at a table at the Horse Player World Series with him, and he finished third or fourth in that contest. So I know he's a player. And there's one of racing's likable ambassadors, Ed DeRosa, sitting there in 11th place.
Yeah, nice showing by Ed. You can see quite a difference, quite a variation in terms of number of plays remaining. You have someone like Ed who's down to 2 plays, but then you have some other people in there. Miguel Castillo. I probably butchered his name because I don't know Miguel, but he has 9 picks left, and I think there's probably only 9 races left. So,
well, actually, I think you might be one race behind, because Ed's got 1 pick, 1 play remaining, and Miguel has 8. So
yeah, you're right. I hadn't refreshed. So yeah, Ed's down to 1. So
Ed's down to 1, and that's interesting. And we're going to be interviewing some players going forward. Between the end of the show tonight and the beginning of the show tomorrow, we're going to interview a few of the people on the leaderboard, and maybe Ed will be one of them, and we'll have to ask him why he made all these plays early. The interesting thing is I think these scores are very low. It doesn't look like, I'm going to go click on Basil DeVito's.
Yeah,
sorry.
Just one point. We're not showing the Keeland races, but they're actually, the last race is off right now at Keeland, and they're finishing up here late. And those you can see on the leaderboard, we've got a real battle down to the wire, and it looks like I'm try to see who got up there and won that race, and see if anybody on the leaderboard had that horse. Right now they're showing the gallop out, and I can't read the saddle cloth, so I'll let you know here in a second.
Looks like it might be the 3.
It's the gray horse, but I can't.
Oh, the gray horse got there?
Yeah, the gray horse got up, and I'm not sure what his number is. It's really dark on the
okay.
track. Hopefully they'll.
I'm sorry we missed. We were so busy with production, we didn't check to see if any of those races were running late. Otherwise, we would have shown that race.
It looks like it was the 5 horse that won that race, and if we look on the leaderboard, Miguel, we gave him some pod karma by mentioning his name. He had the 5.
5-2 on that horse.
Yeah, and so did Nicholas McMurdy. So a couple people will move up the leaderboard, probably up into maybe even the top 5, or at least right about there. So, I think that does finish off the day of racing, other than the Santa Anita and Golden Gate that we'll be following along until the last race of the day, and see who ends up on top for day 1.
Well, let's take a quick look at, I think it's Basil Exposition was from Austin Powers. That's why I keep on saying Basil. But Basil DeVito, let's take a look at his record. I'm going to go into view details on the Horse Tourneys leaderboard, and let's just see what he got. He's the leader, and you can see that apparently no horse has paid more than $27 today.
But he hit 3 $20 horses though, so he's been hitting them all, it looks like.
Yeah, no, I mean that's great, but you would think in an all optional play contest that there would be more opportunity, but maybe today was just kind of a dud as far as long shots.
Yeah, you typically on these weekdays versus the weekend on these multi-day contests, the weekdays tend to be chalkier, fields are smaller. There tends to be, some kind of standouts, and you get the bigger, more competitive fields on the weekend. So that's not too surprising. And remember, we still have 8 races left to go, and there could be a bomb in there somewhere.
The first race at Golden Gate was a double-digit winner. Paid $26. That was the 7 Red Star. So that probably surprised a number of players. And there's a $27 winner at the Keeland 6th race, the 4 Sa Fora Dada. So there were some price horses, just no cappers.
No cappers yet. And that makes usually for a more compact leaderboard. Nobody running away from the field on day one, which is always good, makes it more exciting. And now they're focused on the West Coast, and maybe probably a lot of the players who have more selections remaining are West Coast players where they focus their play that way, and that the people in the Midwest and East probably tend to focus more on those tracks. So it's not surprising there's some variation in terms of the remaining picks here heading into the end of the day, all West Coast, Golden Gate and Santonita leg of the contest.
Okay, 5 minutes to post at Santonita, and so I think we will move to the live racing section for now, and I'll refresh the leaderboard when I see that the results are official at Keeland.
Yeah, they're out on the track now for Santonita.
They're out on the I don't know if they're out on the track, but there's 4 minutes to go, and they're probably out on the track. Yeah, there they are. So Chris, what did you think of this race? I didn't think much of it. I didn't look at it for that long, but what did you think? Anything playable here?
Well, it kind of depends on where people are and what their opinion of the race is. But to me, if they've got to play most of these races, I think the 3-horse Queen Stormborn is probably solid in here. She looks like Lone Speed, which is always dangerous in a dirt sprint. And you're getting 3-1. She's like a third choice right now on the board. So that seems like a solid play. If you like that horse, that's probably a decent price in a small field like this. But if you're looking for a price, to me, the 2-horse is probably the one that would interest me the most. That horse actually has some races that are kind of good enough to win. It hasn't run very well recently, but it has the apprentice rider, gets the weight off in a dirt sprint, and that's usually when the apprentice riders with weight off are most dangerous. And you're getting like 19-1 right now on the board. So, that would be the price play. The problem is in a small field with only 1 or 2 long shots. If there's a lot of people with that are playing this race, they're all going to be on that horse. But that one does look like the dangerous price horse in here, the 2.
Yeah, 3 races ago, the horse ran one of its best races. So it's not odd. It's not uncommon for a horse to have a good race like that, especially off a layoff, and then react to it for a couple of races. So it could come back, and I would think that Miguel Wenceslao, I'm not sure how to pronounce it either. I would think that would be a good play for him because the horse could easily get second, and so you're looking at good place money. Personally, if I was just going to pick a winner of the race, I would probably go with the 1, Bella Ranella. But I don't know. I don't know how much that. I don't know how much that's going to help anybody in this, this late of the game.
Well, if you're in the top, if we look back at the leaderboard, it's pretty compact, and there's day money for the top few spots. So if you're sitting in those top 5 or 6 spots, there's nothing wrong with getting 10 or 12 points out of this race. I mean, that could be the difference between $13,000 and nothing on day one. So, it kind of depends on where you're at. If you're a little farther down, probably that doesn't help you much. But remember, it is a 2-day contest, and that $12 could come in handy at some point. But the 2-horse is definitely live at a price in here, I think.
Yeah, I think so, especially with that apprentice. I did just update the leaderboard, and Miguel and Nicholas McMurdy, they both moved up a little bit, and now Miguel is hanging in 7th, and he still has 8 plays, so he's actually gets to bet every single race that we're playing. And all he has to do is hit like a few 5-2s, and he's got the lead.
Right. So for me, Miguel, I'd play the horse he likes. The old Paul Sherman, play the one you like, because he doesn't need a big bomb. He like 10 or 12 points. That's right. Big for him. He, like you said, he's got 8 more, bullets in the chamber, where some of the people ahead of him, like Basil, have only 2 picks left. So he's not in that bad of a spot. And that's where, this race selection part, his being conservative to this point, now he has a big advantage in the end game that some of the others don't have. They have to be really, picky about what races they play. And somebody like Miguel could make up quite a bit of ground in races that they have to sit out. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah. Now Miguel, who we don't know, but maybe we may get to know him.
Yes.
He may not like any horse in this race, and yeah, and if I was in his position, I might just go for the gusto. That's if he really thinks the one's going to win, then he should play it. But if he's not sure, if he just thinks it's kind of a mess of a race, then go with the long shot, because the long shot could get second and be a pay capper price.
Yeah, that's the way to go. If I were Miguel or anybody, let's see who else we have that has quite a few picks left. Even Stephen Thompson, who has 5 picks and he's only $13 out of first. If I were in that position, I'd probably go with the 3 horse in here. If I was going to play this race, Miguel has to, so I would go with the 3. That's the one I like on the shorter prices. But like you said, if you didn't have a strong opinion on any of those 3 that are all kind of vying for favoritism, why not go for the gusto, like you said, full eclipse. Maybe the apprentice sends that horse and it gets, the perfect trip sitting right off of the Queen Stormborn on the front end and finishes off the race at a big price.
All right, so they're getting closer to the gate. We've got a little bit of a post drag here. It's not horrible, but it has been 2 minutes. And
yeah. And one thing to keep in mind, this is 6.5 furlongs, so it's a little longer than the typical 6 furlong distance. That could come into play, although I think the lack of early pace probably will offset that extra distance, and I think it still favors the horses, on or near the front in here, and the early pace setter should be the 3 horse Queen Stormborn. That was the reason I kind of preferred her over your choice, Scott, Bella Ranella, because Bella is probably going to be coming from farther back. But that 6.5 furlongs does help a little bit for those horses coming from out of it. And They are starting to go to the gate.
They are going to the gate, and we're going to, as soon as they release the gate, I will refresh the leaderboard. We'll see who everybody has, if they have anybody, and we'll be able to commentate. And they're off. Okay, many people had no selection. Miguel chose the 5, Exchange Vows. Stephen Thompson chose the 6, Secret Maneuver. So the Exchange Vows is 27-1. So Miguel did go for the gusto, but he went for a different gusto.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the other gusto horse that we like, the apprentice, did send from the inside, did get the lead, and
now is going to be carrying less. Is going to go is saving ground and carrying less weight.
Yeah, and she's looking pretty good right now. And this is a kind of if the 2 horse were to hold on, that's the kind of thing that can really change the complexion of the contest. And the real running starts here. We'll see if she has anything left for the end. Queen Stormborn's had a really nice trip as well.
Okay, well, it looks like she's
it's a battle here. The 3, 7, and 1, the 3 favorites are all going to be battling to the wire right now.
Well, here comes the one.
The one's coming. Yep, she's going to come over the top and get it done, it looks like. And Salvatore Simone had Bella Ranella, and he's sitting in 5th place. So, that will move him up into
7-2.
Yeah, so that will probably move him up possibly into 2nd place, which is worth on the day money
8,000.
So that was a big hit for him. Still a long ways to go, but that was definitely a good result for him. And also we had Terry Jurg Shergay, or I'm not sure how. We're going to butcher a lot of names, I think, before this live stream is over.
Terry George? I don't
Yeah, I'm
know.
not sure. George or George, I don't know. Terry J. Is in
Terry
13th,
J.
and he hit that one. That'll move him up into the top 10, or right about at the top 10. So, not a
And
lot of action
Justin
in there.
Wunderler also had the horse. Thomas Clark, Patrick Gianfort, Gino.
Yeah, he had that one.
66 bucks, and you're looking at 7-2, so maybe $11 more. So that's going to change things.
Yeah, certainly the big winner in there was probably Salvatore, who is going right now. He's in the money off of that, not that tough a pick. And Scott, you found a winner right there, right out of the chute. That was a good start. So it'll be interesting. Now we have to shift our attention to Golden Gate. We're going to be going back and forth between the two California tracks for the rest of the day. But that was certainly a good start for a few people on the broadcast here, this live stream. And now we'll see how those Santa Anita handicappers can do on the synthetic at Golden Gate, which is a little bit different.
Yeah, now the Golden Gate race is only 5 horses, so like it's probably not except for Miguel. I don't know who else is going to be playing that horse.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably a pass race for most everybody, would be my guess. We'll see a lot of no selections when we refresh the leaderboard after the race starts. To me, it's one of the final 4 races of the day, so how could you not play Holy Zags, the 6 horse in here? For those of you who are NCAA basketball fans, and for those of you like me who live in the state of Washington and know a lot of Gonzaga alums, the Holy Zags seem to be the hunch play in here. It's not going to surprise anybody because it's probably going to go off at even money, but certainly looks like the horse to beat in here in this small field.
Holy Zags. Well, let me take a quick look at my handicapping. I didn't like this race at all. Let's see. Mischievous Curlin looks kind of tough. Oh, but this is a 2-turn race.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, this is a mess of a race. Definitely not that. I would also go with Holy Zags in this race. I mean, I wouldn't have saved a play for this race, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you there. This is not one of the ones I would have checked off as a race I want to save a play for. But I think there are a few people in there, and Miguel being one who has to. And for Miguel, given where he's at now, why not? Even if it's even money, it's still like $6 he could pick up. That would, could be all the difference.
That it's entirely possible, yeah. And we just the race at Santa Anita is official, and I just reloaded the leaderboard, and Salvador Simeone has moved into 2nd place. Terry J is moved into 7th place. Justin Wunderler in 12th. Thomas Clark in 13th, and Patrick Gianfort in 14th place. So some small movement, and with these fields, I think that's a pretty good return.
Yeah, looking at the leaderboard, the leader has only 2 plays left. Salvatore just moved into 2nd, has 1 play left, and then the people, all the other people, the next 5 or 6, 7 players all have 4 or 5 plays. So that definitely comes into play at this point. They're going to be able to take quite a few more shots, and probably are in a little better position than like Basil, whom I guess, or even Salvatore. I'm guessing that they'll save one for the last race. So probably Salvatore is done until the last race, unless there's something he really likes between now and then. And then Basil will probably use 1 play and probably save 1 for that last race.
And that last race, it's the Golden Gate is the last race, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a wide open race, and
it is.
I would definitely be saving a play for that. In this Santa Anita race, the payoff was 1380, which is pretty good for a horse that was 5-2 morning line
in a small field, right? So that
in
was,
a small field. Yeah.
So it just shows you that you don't necessarily you want to find some price plays in these contests, but there's nothing wrong with $10 or $15, getting $10 or $15 out of a race at all, especially when you're going to make 30 plays over the course of 2 days. So
All right.
let
Well,
that be a lesson.
let's go to the live feed at Golden Gate and see what's going on there. They are out on the track. Holy Zags is 4-5.
Yeah, and he probably deserves to be 4-5. That's not the kind of horse I get excited about for sure, but he does seem to be a little better than these. And
He's only a little better than these, though. That's the 4-5. Maybe you
so
don't.
who do you play to beat him? Who's the other horse you use if you're going to try to beat Holy Zags in here, Scott?
Well, I didn't like as I said, I didn't like the race, but I mean, Scherzo could win this race. Only the facts. The 3 is he's slower than Holy Zags, but his best race is about the same as Holy Zag's last race. So, I mean, I suppose if I had to make a play, well, let's look at the. You know what? I'd go with mischievous Curlin. I think I would go with him just for value purposes, because Holy Zags is just not. He's not that much better than these.
Yeah, I think I like Holy Zags a little more than you do. I think he's maybe a couple notches better, but he's not invincible by any stretch. And I would never play him in a contest at that price unless I had to play the race and I was near the top of the leaderboard. But with this many races to go, to me, it's hard to get excited about playing him. The one I might be interested in is the one horse though in here. He's the kind of horse that, I always am interested in as a 4-year-old second off a layoff. And it was a long layoff, so he's probably developed quite a bit from his 3-year-old best efforts. So that's the kind that could, show some dramatic improvement. And, 5 or 6 to 1 is not a bad price on that. So I would probably go with Fire Diamonds if I had to make a play in here.
Yeah, I think I would actually. I'm feeling pretty good about mischievous.
Good old mischievous. You're a mischievous kind of
Mischievous
guy.
Curlin.
Yeah.
The trainer actually. I just saw the stat. He's got a $3.45 ROI going first route. Now I don't know why this horse hasn't tried routing. He's been raced since he was a 2-year-old, and he's a 4-year-old now, and he hasn't tried routing yet. I'm not sure why they waited so long. The breeding doesn't seem that bad. Curlin de Mischief is the sire. I don't know. I don't know if Curlin de Mischief is purely a sprint sire. But I do see that one of the siblings was a pretty good turf router. So,
but I think we're both in agreement that this is a race where if we were in the contest, when we refresh the screen, it would say no selection by our name, probably, right?
Absolutely no selection, especially with only 5 horses. And I'm not gonna count if I'm keeping tabs on how many winners I have. I'm not even counting this as a race. Like I wouldn't want to play this race.
Yeah, I would be surprised if anyone other than Miguel, who has to play the race, makes a pick in here. That would be a surprise to me. So we'll see.
Let's see if there are any other nuts who still have 7 plays. I mean, and I don't mean to diminish. I don't mean to say he's crazy. He's actually looking pretty good right now.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
looking like it was a pretty smart decision.
But yeah, just given the races that are left, some of them like this that look like kind of obvious non-play types in a contest, it is surprising. Although maybe he loves somebody in this race. We'll find out. I don't. You don't. Most people probably won't.
Maybe
Unless,
Miguel is a California guy.
yeah, unless they went to Gonzaga, and they might still be excited about even money on Holy's Eggs, especially on this weekend.
Hey, wait, even money? Now that's a price that's not as bad, right? 4 to 5 was pretty bad. This can happen at Golden Gate, right? Where a horse just gets wildly overbet. He still might go off 3 to 5.
Yeah, let's look at DRF. It says, that they have that nice odds projector, which really helps, especially in this kind of situation where you want to know, should I play this in the contest, or is he going to do what you just said? Odds get cut in half when they open the gate. Well, according to that, Holy Zags is 1-2 projected off odds. So that's pretty bad, right?
1-2?
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll probably drop to 1-2 as soon as the gate opens.
Yeah, and Curlin, Mischievous Curlin's 3-1 projected, Fire Diamonds 4-1, Only the Facts 11-1, and Scherzo 7-2. So they're all about the same after Holy Zags, except for Only the Facts, who's double-digit odds. So they're getting ready to load up.
They're loading into the gate, and I'm going to be ready with the trigger finger for reloading the standings. Now, I don't know how many people are watching. I know we had a couple hundred last time, and it's interesting. I wonder how many people are actually watching our leaderboard as opposed to having their own leaderboard and reloading.
Good question.
We'll have to do a survey. Okay,
right.
they're in the gate.
Yeah.
And they're off. And let's see. Yep, no selection in every case except Terry J chose Mischievous Curlin and Miguel chose Scherzo.
And right now, Only the Facts. The Bomber is on the lead, sort of like the last race. The big price in the short field goes right to the front. So we'll see if he can hang on there. It's a little tougher to go wire to wire at Golden Gate, especially around 2 turns. Those races tend to play out more like a turf race than a dirt race.
Hey, Holy Zags actually went off at 6-5, unless these are going to change again. And Mischievous Curlin went off at 8-5. So a lot of late money on Mischievous Curlin.
Yeah, look at Fire Diamonds, the horse I picked, 9-1. That's some crazy odds changes there at the end.
Okay, well, so it's
like anybody's race right now.
A 49.5, and the 2's looking pretty good right now, I'd say.
Yeah,
the 1, it doesn't look bad either.
Yeah, it's these races will be interesting. Holy Zags is just now starting to unwind, so right now it could be anybody, right? But we'll see who's got the finish. Looks like you might be two for 2 here if Mischievous Curlin can hang on. Fire Diamonds, my horse, is trying, but I don't think he's going to get there.
It's that old first route angle, a 345 ROI. Now it's 347.
But actually, the one horse at 9-1 as a place price with the favorite off out of the top 2 might not pay that much less than the winner.
You are correct. So Terry J had Mischievous Curlin, so he's definitely going to move up. He's not going to move up too much because I don't know if he'll even move up $9 to get up into 5th, but he'll pass at least Nicholas McCurdy. And let's see if anybody had the 1. Like, who was the first person to have the 1? John Van Niel in 36th place had the 1. So he's happy about that. And Rock Torcherry.
We get the tortured name. We tortured another one.
Yeah. We're gonna be hearing about these names on Twitter.
Yeah. We'll get people like phonetically spelling their names for us, so we don't butcher it on day 2. Which will welcome that help, as long as it's done in a nice way.
Let's see how many minutes till Santonita. We got 13 minutes till Santonita. And let's see. I'm just going to take a quick peek at our agenda because we're going to spend a few minutes talking about potential long shots for tomorrow. We like handicapping the races. Part of the fun of doing the show is that we get to handicap and strategize as if we were players, strategize for the players. And we, both Chris and I, liked a few long shots as potential plays. And, everything is dependent on price, but we did a little segment, or I did a little segment because we couldn't, due to tech difficulties, I had to do it by myself. But we looked at a few different races, and let's see. I'm just trying to think if that's like,
Well, we
okay.
got official results now for this race, so
Yeah, so we're gonna have a couple of clips where we talk about potential long shots and we show them in the daily racing forum, but we're gonna do that in like 10 to 15 minutes. Mischievous Curlin paid $840 total. Let's reload. And Terry J has moved into sixth with a 101.20. Fire Diamonds paid $7, so almost as much as the winner.
and that's something to keep in mind as we go forward, especially in the larger fields. The long shots coming in second can often pay more than a favorite winning. So from a contest standpoint, that's with a long shot, not only if they win do you do well, but you can do pretty well with the place price. This one, it was kind of depressed because the field was so small. If you're like an inner force field, you could get a big place price as well.
Yeah, so it was a race that I wouldn't want to play, and I'm not sure why Miguel wanted to, unless he's just a complete California player.
And he could
And
be. He could
you
be.
know, yeah, he did play a couple of Keeland races and did hit. If we look at his record, he hit 12-1 at Keeland in the sixth race. Sa Foradata.
So now it starts getting interesting. We're starting to narrow it down. There's still 6 races left, but we've got a lot of people with 4 picks left and 6 races to go. So they've got to start playing most every race. And then you got a couple of guys at the top of the leaderboard that only have 1 or 2 plays. So it'll be real interesting to see what people do in terms of race selection, based on where they are on the leaderboard and how many people are really focused on that day money versus just trying to position themselves, for the day 2 in the contest. And I do think we have an interesting race at Santa Anita with some potential prices. Even though the field's small, this is one where I think there are some potential price horses.
I do too. I think, we might as well just go to the Santonita feed. So hopefully producer Craig can switch us to that feed, and we'll handicap this race. I think that it's got, I like a price horse in the race myself, but let's have you go ahead and say, talk about, who you like in this race, and then we'll sort of strategize for the different players.
Yeah, I actually liked a different horse, but there was a key scratch. The 7 horse scratched, the morning line favorite scratched out, looked like Lone Speed in the race. And now that it's out, I think the 1 horse, Sabino's Pride, is a horse that they're going to send. They went to a send jockey in Maldonado. Horses had, 2 lifetime wins, were both wire to wire. And so he draws the rail, Speed Rider, the other Speed scratched. So I'm thinking this 1 horse is going to try to take him gate to wire. It was 12-1 on the morning line. I think other people are seeing what I just said, and it's only 5-1 right now, but still I think that's a pretty good price. There's another long shot I like in here, but I think now that the pace is going to be less sharp, I don't like it quite as much as I did prior to that scratch, but I'll see what you were thinking about, Scott, before I say anything else.
Well, I have to admit that I didn't look at pace, and sometimes that just messes me up. So, I'm, in fact, when I start thinking about it too much, it messes up my handicapping, and I, like I'll get off a horse because I think it's going to get cooked in a speed duel. The horse that interested me, just based on the numbers, was the 2 Wind Tartar, and it's currently 21-1 and projected to be 41-1. Um, the horse has back numbers, and if you look back at its races a couple years ago, it has like an 82. Well, that was an 82 buyer, an 80 buyer. Was previously trained by Chad Brown, Peter Miller. So the horse definitely has some class, and if you look at its last 2 races, it doesn't look that great. It doesn't look that great, like a 69 and a 61. But there's 2 reasons to like those races. One is that the figure came up on the sheets a little better for the second race, and after a long layoff, I like to see a horse run one race that's okay, and then another race that's just a little bit better. They're often going to score in their next race. Like they're going to run like the best race they can, at least at this point in their career. And since this horse has so many back numbers from its 3 and 4-year-old year, maybe it's, that layoff did it well. So the other factor that's interesting here is that racingflow.com has both its last 2 races as major uh, speed bias closer favorability ratings. So like you had to be near the lead to win one of those races. And this horse is a closer. So, so he was against it and yet still showed some improvement from race 1 to race 2 off a layoff. So I would take a stab with that horse and hope it gets at least second and some good place money.
Yeah, that's the horse I liked before the scratch. I think now, like for the reasons you said, the horse needed some pace, didn't get it. It might not get it again in here, but certainly could, and third off a layoff. The other horse I think is interesting here is the 5 horse, who's 14-1 right now. That's the other horse with some speed. So to me, in a race, I think it's going to favor the front runners from a pace standpoint. You're getting pretty good prices on the 1 and the 5, I think. So those are the 2 that, and the 2, I agree. I'm just afraid now he's going to have the same problem he had in his first 2 starts, but wouldn't shock me if that horse won either. So the favorite can win in here, but to me, 6-5 is kind of crazy on that horse in here. So, and I think, the horses we've mentioned, 1, 2, and 5 are just about as likely to win as the 3 favorites. So this to me is a very playable race, even though it's a small field. It's a race you could bet as well as play in the contest. And I have a feeling quite a few of the players will be on horses in this race.
So you would be playing the 1 in this scenario.
Yeah, I would go with the 1, but I would not be at all. I would support anybody picking either the 5 or the 2 as well. I think all 3 are definitely good contest plays, and part of it depends on what they prefer, if they like any of those 3 horses, and where they are on the leaderboard. The 1 isn't as tempting if you're kind of far down right now. The 2 and the 5 would definitely be the way to go. But if you're in the top 10 or 20 and you're thinking about the day money right now, to me the 1 horse is probably the way I would go.
Yeah, I'm liking that one a lot too. So I don't know, I'm warming up to your 1. I think it's a good play. It's a good solid play as opposed to the 2, who's kind of a Hail Mary play. I do think that anything could happen in this field, and many times long shots do come in when they run back to one of their back numbers. So I'll stick with the 2 play, but I really respect your 1 as well.
Yeah, these small fields, without pace tend to be really tactical. So anything, like you said, anything could happen. If they go really slow, that might not actually hurt the two because it'll be right up there with the leaders. My guess is they won't go that slow. I do think it will sort of favor the front runners, but clearly there's no reason why that 6 horse should be 6-5 in here. And so that's what really makes the race playable, or even the 3 horse at 2-1. I mean, those two just they don't tower over these horses at all. So I think it's really a playable race for sure.
All right, well, let's see. We've got 2 minutes to post, and
so let's look at the leaderboard for a second. Just kind of play. Okay, let's pick. If you're Basil and you've got 2 picks left, are you going to use one of those in this race?
I'm not going to use one of those in this race because I like the last 2 races at Golden Gate. So I personally would be waiting for those 2 races. This race is a little bit wide open.
I kind of like this race, and I think I'd be tempted to go with my 1 horse if I were Basil. If I were Salvatore, I would probably hold off. He's got 1 play left. But what about those guys, right behind those 2 have 4 picks? I'd definitely be playing this race, wouldn't you?
If I had 4 picks, there are about 6 races left. I'd say, yeah, I would play this race.
And so which one would you play if you're near the top? Would you go with your 2 horse? Would you go with the 1?
I think I would go with the 2 because Capper's got to come in sometime. And, it's, I mean,
the gambler's fallacy. Scott, he's I'm due.
Look, if you're near the top of the leaderboard and you hit the win Tartar at 36-1, you've definitely created some separation. So
I agree.
That could be a $13,000 play right there.
Could be. Although even a 6-1 shot where they're at, that puts them in the lead with a little bit of daylight.
Hey, it's a tricky race. I'm not sure that I would play it. But
you mean there's 4 other races you would play besides this one?
I mean, if I had 4 races left, yes, I would play this race. But I don't know if I would have saved 4 races.
Okay, but let's just say you've got 4. I think we both agree this is one you play. You're saying go for the gusto, which
I would go for the gusto.
Yeah, and I'm saying
to me, this is a race where there's some gusto to be had potentially.
Yeah, and for me, I'll know after the first 100 yards if the 1 was the way to go because I want them to send and I want them to get the lead. If they don't, then my whole plan is gone.
All right, they are off, and Chris Bertolucci went with Sabino's Pride, and so did Terry J. And Stephen Thompson went with Cheryl Linda. So he went with the 13-1 front runner.
Yeah, and they grabbed the 1 horse, which just blows my mind. Maldonado's got him bouncing up and down on the saddle. It's just mind-blowingly bad ride. So yeah, that 5 is looking like a great play by Stephen.
Well, sure. so far. I mean,
you got the trip you wanted. And we'll see if the horse is good enough. But I mean, anytime you got a clear lead on a slow pace in a race like this at 20-1, or I guess 13-1, that was a good play. We'll see if it gets it done. But that he's got to be pretty pleased at this point anyway.
Don't sleep on Win Tartar, who's moving up from 4th.
Yeah.
He's pretty close.
He definitely is. I mean, right now, any of them good winner comes. They ought to be picking it up right about now, and we'll see who's got horse for the stretch.
Fly like the wind, Tartar.
Wind Tartar. Yeah, I figured you'd like that because that's how you eat your steak. I don't know how you do it, but you like that Tartar steak.
I do. I like it raw. Still moving, as they say.
That 5 is putting in a battle. He's not quitting. The 6 looks like he's going to win, but the 5 is not.
The 5 could come back. 5 could come back.
Trying. Steven screaming. The 5's coming back. It's a bobber.
Win Tartar, story of my life. In many years at the NHC, 40-1 comes in third.
Comes in third. I don't know who won that one. That was close. Steven might have
I thought I turned away when I was sure the 6 had actually gotten it, but
Uh,
I wasn't. I didn't have my eyes strictly
I'm
on
not.
the
I'm
finish
not
line.
sure the third got 6 got it. I probably did, but it was close. But I think the 6 did win, but it was close. And worst case, Steven gets some place money there.
Let's see. There could have been a bob there.
Yeah,
Oh, very
it looks like
close.
the 6, but
I
it's
think the
hard from
6
that
got it,
angle.
but
Let's
wow.
see this camera shot. Ooh, that's close. The 6 might
Uh,
have got the bob though. It looked like
I,
the 5 was actually ahead there for a little
the
bit.
5 would, a half step before the 5 had his nose in front.
Yeah.
And he'll get place money, which is not that much considering the 7-5 on the leader. But you know what? He's in fourth place, and now that's guaranteed to bring him into third, and possibly even second.
Yeah, Nicholas
Stephen Thompson.
McMurdy had the 6 horse, the winner.
I have a feeling we're one of our interviewees is going to be Stephen Thompson.
There's a good chance. Yeah, they haven't posted the winner. It's so hard because they don't have the camera on the wire. It sort of favors the outside horse with the angle they've got. So, I think the 6 got there, but I wouldn't swear to it. I mean, yeah, they put it up now. The 6-5. So 6 went off at 7-5. The chalky horse that I was talking down on did get it done, but he barely got it done. Barely
Nobody
got
in the top 50 picked Wind Tartar, and I guess they were correct in not doing that.
Well, he still finished. He beat everybody else, but the 5 and the 6. So it
It's
wasn't a
interesting that seventh place Nicholas McCurdy went with the favorite at 7-5, and let's see what that's going to get him. That'll just give him some points, but he will not get up to sixth because he needs $8. I don't think he's going to get that.
Yeah, probably not. Let's see. We'll see. He's going to come close, but yeah, it did move him up a little bit, and he still has 3 picks left. But the big winner in that one was probably Steve because he was already fourth, and he's probably going to pick up 10 or 12 bucks here, and that will put him, either in
Now,
second
there
or
are only 6 horses, so what do you think that place is going to pay?
between $10 and $12, I think. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm going to say like 9.
Yeah, you're right. It probably is between, probably 9 or 10. Now that I look, because the favorite did get in there, and that will depress the price. Heck, it might even be less. I'd have to look at the place pool.
Okay, well, it is official, and it ended up paying exactly $9 to place. So Stephen Thompson moves into second with
Yes.
113 and 20 cents, and that puts him $4 off the leader. And Stephen Thompson can smell that $13,000 day money because he's got 3 plays to Basil's 2 plays.
Yeah, as they say in like soccer, he's got a game in hand or something like that. He's got a pick in hand that on the leader, but he is behind still. So, they're definitely right now the ones that are battling away. But a lot could happen. There's still quite a bit of racing left.
Let's see
But
who else had the 5, Cherylinda, who I think paid more than. Let's see what Equal Measure paid. Equal Measure paid $780. So you made a little bit more with Cherylinda to place. Douglas Shank, William Roth in 9th and 10th, and Frank Okasaki in 15th had the 5, Cherylinda. Sabrina Smith, that's a new name to me. Not too many people hit that race. Not that many people played it.
no, but now we're getting to the point. Pretty soon they'll have to be playing some races, but they still have some options with 5 remaining races, I think. Yeah, 5 more. And we have at the race at Golden Gate that I like the most coming up next. So in terms of a price play. So I think this is one that a lot of people will be playing as well.
You have a price play in the 6th at Golden Gate, eh?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think I do in this race, but it is a nice turf race. Uh, Let me see where we are on our agenda because I think we're going to cut to pre-tape and talk about a few long shots. And so while we'll take a little break and cut to that for 5 minutes, just a few long shots at Keeneland, potential long shots, just horses that caught our eye as potential, price
For
plays
tomorrow. For tomorrow.
for
Yeah. Right.
tomorrow. For tomorrow. This is just in case anybody who's in the contest and is looking for ideas. Well, we have a few. Or if you're thinking about one of those horses, maybe we give you and some additional grist to pull the trigger. So yeah, why don't we go ahead, producer Craig, and switch to the pre-roll of the live long shots. Welcome to the long shot consideration section, at least part one of that, for races that are running tomorrow, Saturday, before our broadcast starts. Just some long shot ideas that you may want to consider. The first horse that we're going to look at is in the third race at Keeland. And if I scroll down, I get to the 3-horse Unembellished, who's owned by Calumet Farm and trained by Jack Sisterson. And I'm just making sure my highlight works here. And the key with this horse is that on March 1st, 4 furlongs, a 47.4 breezing at the gate. That's a pretty good workout, and that's an angle that Henry Wessel, he's the one who pointed this horse out to me. He will play it often. Now, Jack Sisterson doesn't win for Calumet Farm first out very often, but they did win. They have won 5 times, and they won once this year at 10-1. So this is just a horse to consider, and you're going to get that 15-1, and maybe you'll get even more than 15-1. So that's one horse to consider. And let's go to the 4th race. Okay, in the 4th race, we're going to skip to, I don't know why my formulator, I have to reload it every once in a while now. I don't know if that's my computer or if it's formulator, but I am reloading. And let's see if we can get down to the 8-horse. And the 8-horse is I Hear You, and it's trained by Michael Stidham and gets a jockey upgrade to Luis Saez. And he's 10-1 morning line. She is 10-1 morning line. And you'll notice down here, all the way back in September, an 80 buyer figure on the turf in a pretty good race. And the horse was favored in that race and got second, but that just showed some ability as a 2-year-old. And in its last 2 races, which don't look that great, a 74 and a 67 buyer. The reason why we're going to overlook that is because in this race it was blocked and steadied and altered course, and then the next race checked inside at the 5/16. So, 10-1 on a horse that has run pretty competitively before, not bad. I personally think that this race is wide open. This is one horse of many possibilities, and I think that considering that Aqueduct has short fields and Keeland has some short fields later in the card, this is a race where you really might want to try to pluck out a capper. All right, we're going to go to the next race, which is the 5th race. And this is a horse that Chris was interested in. Chris was very interested in I Hear You, that horse that I just showed. That was one of his picks. So I just wanted to point that out. This is also another horse that he's interested in. The name is Paleo. It's a 20-1 morning line horse trained by Michael Stidham, another Michael Stidham horse. The reason Chris likes this horse, back in August, back in August as a 2-year-old. It came out running and it won with the speed figure doesn't look that great, but it was August, and this is I believe this is a filly. No, it's a colt, but came out running. Was working out pretty well. Came out running and won. And since then, the horse has had a chance to develop. And the other thing is that it's got some really nice workouts coming into this race. So it's got a 59.3 here. It's got a 59.4 gate work. Pretty good. And this horse, it has a lot of upside. So at 20-1 in a race where we're not sure there's not necessarily any world beaters, although there may be some world beaters in here. That's a horse to consider. And then another horse that I was interested in is Joe Frazier, who Chris said has a fighting chance. Trained by Brad Cox, ridden by Florent Giroux. And these numbers don't look that great. He ran a 67, a 71, then a 69, then a 67. So the horse doesn't look to be in that great a form. However, the horse was also 3 wide in its last race, and buyer figures don't account for ground loss, and sheet figures do. And on the sheets, this horse has a better figure in this race than any of its 2-year-old races. That's always an actionable angle, and I don't think you're going to get the 12-1, but you might get 8-1. And we're back, and we timed it incorrectly because Golden Gate is about to go off. We will switch. We're at the live racing page. Chris, who did you like in this race?
I really like the 9-horse Balius, who he's stretching out for the first time, but his trainer, second off a layoff, sprint to route is really good. And that's exactly what he's doing here. And this horse has run some really good sprint races. And I think the way he finishes those sprints, if he gets the right trip, he could do that on the turf routing as well. So, I think he's the kind of live long shot you like for contest. He's 12-1 right now. That's a 9-horse Balius.
Okay, this is a race that I wouldn't play, but I would have gone with the horse Belham, who's the 6-horse at 5-2. So I did not like this race as a play, but that's my pick, and let's see what happens. So we're on the 9 and the 6, and we'll refresh the leaderboard and see if anybody else see what our players did as soon as they break out of the gate.
Yeah, my guess is there'll be a lot of people playing this race. This is a 10-horse field on the turf. It's the kind of race contest players like. So I don't think we'll see a lot of no selections in this one. All right.
First time going 2 turns. First time going turf. You're 9.
Yeah, a lot of firsts. But like I said, the trainer's good with this move, and you'll get rewarded. And that's, in contests, a lot of times the way you get the prices is when horses do something new. That's when you can have a dramatic change in form. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, new as in run fast. And Bellum goes up to 9-2. These nutty odds changes because Craw Moore went down to 3-5.
Wow, that's a pretty low price. They're out.
The gate is open, and Stephen Thompson takes the 8 Whispering Flame at 14-1, and the Chris Bertolucci took the 7 Asset. Brian Chenvert takes the 4 Quays Viper. So these are all, well, Quays Viper's not a price.
And William Roth and Terry George,
Terry
both
J.
picked
Terry J.
Terry J picked the 9 horse that I like. So we'll
Okay,
see.
so my horse is on the lead, and hopefully, they must have just started racing on turf at Golden Gate. I don't remember. I actually haven't been following Golden Gate, so I don't know for sure. But it seems like it's a recent.
Yeah, it's a contested lead. Doesn't seem like they're flying up front. They're going 50 and change, which is, you never know where, with run-ups and everything, what those fractions mean. But right now the 6 horse still has that lead, and the 7 horse is
doesn't look like he's keeping it. And
yeah, they're making a move with the 10 horse right now, a little bit early.
90 to 1.
The 3 horse is the one that looks loaded right now. The 9 horse is making a move too. He's in there.
Yeah, the 9's there.
But the 3 horse is the one that looks like he was loaded all along around the turn. And it looks like he's going to get it done.
But the 10 is at 99 to 1. If the 10 hangs on, that is going to be a place price.
Yes, so 2's trying to run him down.
I don't think
late.
the 10's going to make it.
Somebody in the middle of the screen, I didn't see who that was, got up for second. We'll have to see on the gallop out who that was. Looks like the 7 ran second.
7.
So
7 at 80 to 1.
At 80 to 1.
Wait,
7.
Are we sure it was the 7? Because the 7 made a move early, I thought, unless he re-rallied it. If he did, that's Chris Bertolucci, who's in 4th, picked that horse, the 80 to 1.
Should be $22 horse. Could put him in the lead.
I don't know, with the 3 to 5, maybe not $20, but well, 8 to 5, 85 to 1.
Big field. Yeah, the 3.
I'll take a look at that now.
Although it doesn't project very well at Golden Gate. We learned that. Probably does a better job at Santa Anita. Those Golden Gate odds are kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It's going to be imperfect, right? I mean,
right.
It's not always going to be right. It's going to give you a decent idea, though.
The bigger the pools, the more accurate it will be.
The stream has died.
We lost our live feed to the track.
Supposedly the whole stream has died. Craig? Yeah, I don't know. I got a text from somebody.
All right.
No, it hasn't.
All right. So
it's fine.
Let's go back on. Let's not worry about that, and let's focus on this race. You like this tee, Scott?
I do like this tee, and in fact, I like this tee. I drink tea all day. That's what I do, especially when I'm handicapping. So that's not why I picked the race, the horse. I think that the horse, matched its top in its last race, and it's ready to go.
Yeah, and it was kind of overmatched in its last race too. So you kind of forgive that.
And apparently there was some kind of outage. I didn't witness it. I have a monitor that showed everything. So, but if the feed did die for anybody out there, we apologize, and we're back, and hopefully that won't happen again.
So this race here, I don't like the race at all. I do think the favorite is probably the most likely winner. The Baffert horse, who's been working up, even for Baffert, this horse has been working up a storm. So, and plus it looks like controlling speed. It's got the leading rider, leading trainer, lone speed, monster workouts. So I'm not really interested in this race at all. I wouldn't try to beat Crystal Ball, but I certainly wouldn't play it. So this would be a pass for me betting, pass for me in the contest.
I mean, I wouldn't play this race, but if I was Miguel and I had to play for whatever reason, I would be playing the 4, this tee, and I'm not afraid of that Baffert working so fast. I'm just not worried about it.
Okay.
I mean, again, I wouldn't save a play for a 5-horse field with all the other races that were available today. But if I had to make a pick, and I'm forcing myself to make a pick, my pick is the 4, this tee, and
Yeah,
actually at 8-1 is pretty good.
based on the prices, yeah. I mean, if you have to make a play, yeah, I would make it too. But this is one where I definitely wouldn't be entertaining that unless I had to make a pick. So we'll see. I'm surprised that the 5 is getting as much play as it is, and the 4 is getting completely overlooked. I'm not surprised the 2 is getting bet. So we'll see what happens and see if anybody plays the race.
The top 4 went with no selection,
Not
and
surprising.
Brian Chenver takes the 1, Miss Fia, who's got the lead.
Yeah, he had to make 3 plays, and what do we have left? 4 races, so he had to play all but 1 race. So
And Nicholas McMurdy apparently is going for trying to get some day money because he went with a favorite here, the co-favorite, Pharaoh's Heart.
yeah, the one who went, yeah, that he did the 5. He must like that horse trying to move up.
But Brian Chenver is looking. He's got to be pretty happy where he's at right now with the 1. They're 2 lengths ahead.
Yeah, I would have. I'm a little surprised.
It's not a very menacing move, though.
Yeah, the 1 hasn't completely spit the bit. Doesn't look like it's going to win, but it could. I mean, it hasn't quit. It's got a little battle left. The 2's trying to run it down, but it's just kind of grinding away. He's not drawing.
Here comes the 5. It looks like the 5 is going to get them both.
Yeah, right now
maybe
it looks
not.
like the 2's got it. The 1 did run pretty well. That wasn't a bad play. You said somebody on the leaderboard out of that one, but that one kind of chalked out like it looked like it would.
Yeah, Brian Chenver. It's a nice play.
Yeah, the horse ran a good race. Was 3rd best in here, but ran a good race. Most people passed on it, which is probably that was probably the smart move. That's the move I would have made. So that was kind of a ho-hum race. But now we get down into the last, 3 races, and these people have 3 picks, got to play every one, even 2. It gets really interesting now from a strategy standpoint because people are going to have to play these races.
I am kind of baffled that somebody with only 1 play left, 2 plays left, Rob Haney picked the 2 Crystal Ball. I'm not sure what he's trying to accomplish, except that maybe he thinks that there's no action. Maybe he hates Golden Gate. I don't know. But the day money only pays down to 4th. Just for the record, the first place day money is 13,762. The second place day money is 8,257. Third is 4128, and 4th is 1376. So, if you're in 18th and you're picking an even money favorite, I'm not sure what. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, well,
what
if it was day 2, I agree with you. But it's only day 1, and you're 18th. He probably doesn't. He's thinking long term, which I don't blame him for doing that. Plus, who knows? He might have put these picks in a couple hours ago, right? He's. So to me, if this is day 2, I agree. On day 1, he's just thinking I'm probably not going to win the day money anyway. I really think Crystal Ball is unbeatable. He's a California guy that watches the horses, does workout reports and stuff like that. So, I think he saw how this horse was working and he thought he couldn't be beat. So,
all right, well, why don't we let's switch to Golden Gate. They are just coming out to the track, but I think that this is a good race to handicap, and this is a race that I want to play. If I would have saved a play for this race, so let's take a look at it. What did you think in this race?
Well, I'll let you go first since you're so eager. I have some opinions.
I'm not that eager.
Oh, come on now. Who did you like, Scott? You're doing pretty well today. Who'd you pick in here?
Well, let me see. Uh, hold on, I have a couple of different price plays. So
Oh, I thought you really were on to something here, but I didn't mean to put you on the spot if you weren't ready. I thought there was something you liked the way you're talking about the race.
no, I got a text from the producer, and I thought maybe somehow there was a rush to get started on this one.
All right. Well, to me, it's kind of a wide open race, so I'm a little, I'll be interested in seeing the odds board on this one. To me, you can make a case for quite a few of them in here. And from a price standpoint, probably the two that I think are the most interesting are the 3 Cajun better and the 6 Unbridled Sky. There's nothing special about them. I'm just based on their current form and the races they've run. They fit in this race, and if you get double-digit odds, to me, there's some value there. But there's no strong angle or anything. I'm not super excited about this race, but depending on the prices, those are the ones I was looking at, the 3 and the 6.
Well, those were my two plays as well. And I was a little disappointed when I saw Cajun Better at like 2-1. Now has drifted up to 7-2. And I mean, that's definitely the horse. It's actually a good sign that the horse took some early money because I think it has upside. And it won a race. It was only by a nose, and now it's moving up in class. But it's a 4-year-old, and he ran halfway decent as a 2-year-old. So I'm going to make the play Cajun Better. And the main reason why I'm picking him over the 6 Unbridled Sky, Unbridled Sky just has no speed. It does get a weight break, and so that's an advantage. But with a no speed, I don't know. I just see no early speed, no speed, no speed, no speed in every comment line.
Yeah, but Cajun Better has less speed than Unbridled Sky. I don't know how that's an advantage. I think the 6 will be ahead of the 3 early.
Well, I don't know. A chased leaders. I didn't look at the running line, but chased leaders says to me that's better than no speed.
I don't know. If I look at it, I don't see it. I don't think either one of them have a whole lot of speed for sure. I mean, that's the downside. That's why they're bigger prices. But I don't think that would be a differentiator between the 3 and the 6. To me, they're pretty even, and same from a pace standpoint. And I think the 6, it looks like, is going to be the much better price between the two. So I would go the opposite direction. Like I said, I'm not big on this race, but I think the 6 could win it, and double-digit odds that's probably good enough for me in a contest. It depends how many picks I have. If I have to play it, that's who I would play. If I have a choice, I probably want to save a pick for the last race at Santonita for sure. And then you probably want to save a pick for the last race of the day as well if you're in the running for day money. If you're not, I would just play the races that you like here at the end. So I might pass this race if I only had 2 plays left. But if I had to play the race, I'd go with the 6.
I mean, I personally decided that now I didn't look at all the cards, but I decided that these 2 Golden Gate races were good. And I think, despite the no early speed, like you said, the 3 also has no early speed. So in that case, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Unbridled Sky, who gets a bug rider who's hitting at 11%. and that 7 pounds could make the difference. And the price is so much better. So I'd roll with the 6. I'm switching my pick. Playing based on the odds.
Yeah, which is the way you need to play in wagering or in a contest. And also, the 6 has a good trainer, a trainer that wins races at a pretty good percentage. So the fact that he's got the bug with a good trainer is a good sign, I think. So I don't know if that's going to make the difference or not, but there's no world beaters in here, right? So why not? But like I said, if I could pass this race, I would probably and save my picks for those last two, which I think are better races myself. Especially the last at Santa Anita. I have a couple horses in there that I like, which we'll talk about in a little bit after they run this race. So let's look at the leaderboard and say, let's play okay, if you were this person, who would you play in this race? If you're Chris Bertolucci, you've got 2 picks left, so you've got 1 race to pass. You're in the lead. What would you do, Scott?
Well, now I have to admit I have not looked at the 8th race at Santa Anita, so it's hard for me to say. But I would probably take a stab at this race. I think that there are price plays in this race. The 6 just got knocked down to 10-1, and the 3 is up to 6-1. So I'm waiting until we get closer to post before I put in my pick, or I'm getting ready to change my pick based on what happens with these odds.
Yeah,
I would
unfortunately
play
at Golden Gate, you can't wait until after they open the gates, and that's usually when they change. But yeah.
But I would play the race because I did take a quick glance at the Santonita race, and it looked kind of inscrutable to me. So
You'd
I
be
would.
on either the 3 or the 6 if you were on the lead. I would probably pass if I were I'd probably pass this race if I was in the top 5 or 10 and I had 2 picks left. So if I were anybody right now that's in the top 7, I would be passing this race. Miguel, our good old Miguel, still in there with a pick in every race. Definitely he's got to play one. I would go with the 6 horse if I were Miguel. So,
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I like Golden Gate in general, and you know, a, it's only a 7 horse field now, thanks to the scratch. But I think those 2 price horses, the 3 and the 6, have just as much of a chance as any other horse in the race. So this to me is an opportunity race, and that's why I would play it. No matter where I was on the leaderboard, I would be saving a play for this race.
yeah, I don't argue, have a disagreement with you. I, to me, they have like a 1 in 8 chance of winning, and they're double digit odds. So there's some value there, but it's nothing great. I kind of liked that last at Santa Anita better, and I have a stronger opinion in there. And I kind of like to have a play in that very last race of the day. Just like to always have a shot in that last race. So I would probably pass on this, but I don't disagree with what you said, and I don't disagree with the horses that you're going with either. So we just have to wait and
We're on
see.
the same pair. It's just a question of
Yeah.
what the final odds are going to be.
Yeah, and
Uh,
you never know the way they go back and forth. Based on the projector, which we know hasn't been super reliable for Golden Gate,
8-1
the
on the 6. That's what they're projecting.
yeah, and they're projecting for the 3.
6-1.
Yeah, so there's not a big spread. It's not enough to where I would. And again, and those projected odds aren't that great. Is that another reason why I would probably pass? But I would go with whatever one you like better because the price is pretty close. I kind of prefer the 6 a little bit because of the trainer and their weight off, but like I said, I would be passing this race. What'll be nice about tomorrow is those last races at Santa Anita are pretty good, and there's probably not going to be a lot of no selections on the last 3 or 4 races. That'll be one thing nice about tomorrow. Plus, everybody's trying to get.
I lost my sound.
Are you there?
Oh, now you're back.
All right, they're getting ready to go in the gate. And Scott, you got to choose now. Which one?
Well, now I'm going with a higher price. I'm going with the 3, Cajun Better.
Well, it's random. They keep bouncing back and forth.
I'm gonna. Oh my God! Now Unbridled went to 18 to 1. No. It's 10 to 1. It's 10 to 1. Okay, I couldn't see. Yeah, I'm with Cajun Better. That's the horse that I was leaning toward to begin with, and now is a higher price than Unbridled Sky. So Unbridled Sky. So let's roll with the 3, Cajun Better. Yeah, which one are you going with?
I like the 6 a little better. So I'll go with the 6. That way we have them both covered. But like I said, if I were in the contest, I would be passing on this race unless I were Miguel and had to play it. That's where you are a little bit more interested in this race than I was. So you get extra credit if your horse comes in.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I saw that the 3 is now 14 to 1, oh my God. I am so glad I saved a play for this race. At least, I am for right now. We'll see what happens when they actually run the race.
Yeah, and we don't know what the final odds are going to be yet. They could change quite a bit still.
Yeah, Cajun Better is already down to 10 to 1. Okay. And Stephen Thompson goes with Daddy Jones. The top 2 did not make a selection, neither the 3rd or the 4th or the 5th. Daddy Jones, Terry J, and Miguel also took him. Anthony Matera took Cajun Better. So that's a good sign because he's the only name the only name that I've seen besides Justin Wonderler that's near the leaderboard both contests so far.
Yeah, well, right now the 2 and the 5 are up front, and the 6, or not the 6, the is it the 8 is looking like it's in a pretty strong spot, and
the
I don't see
3 is falling back, so I think that might be.
But the 2 has not quit, and we have Brian Chenvert, and here comes the 5 battling, the 8's coming. But it looks like the 2's drawing off and going to win this wire to wire. So not sure what the price was on that horse. I think it was
3 to 1.
Shorter 3 to 1.
Yeah.
So that's probably 12 points.
Okay, the 5 no parking finished second at 11 to 1. So let's see if anybody had that. Andrew Walker, Steve Nemitz, Kenneth Jordan, guest on our pod.
Yeah, they're all so far behind right now that I don't know if it matters a whole lot to get another 8 or 10 points out of that. But
I mean, it helps. I mean, they're not like looking at day money right now, but it helps.
Right, but Brian Chenvert is going to move up into right there at the top of the board. He'll be at like between a 110 and 114 somewhere in there. So he'll be 3rd or 4th, right there, bunched up.
He went off at 3 to 1.
Yeah. So he's the one that made the big move in there. It's really Brian Chenvert. So that was a good pick for him. The problem for him is that was his last. Well, he's got one left. He's got one player left.
One left.
So it puts him in position. Now he can take one more swing over the last 2 races. So he's got to be pretty happy with that result. And it tightens up the leaderboard a little bit more. And the ones who passed on that race probably is not a bad choice. They still have plays. So
I think we're gonna go. We're gonna move to more long shots for tomorrow. Just more long shot ideas. I think it's our second round. I believe we're on the second one of those. So why don't we switch to that, and we'll come back and take a look at the updated leaderboard. Welcome to Long Shots to Consider, Part 2. We're going to look at a few more long shot potential plays for Saturday in the early races. And we're going to go to the Keeland 7th race here. That's the Commonwealth, the Grade 3 Commonwealth. We're going to scroll past Hidden Scroll, who I think is going to get hammered below 5-2 because people love that horse, always did, and now that he's with Brad Cox, they're going to love him even more. Now I'm going to scroll down to another previously trained horse by Bill Mott, and that is the number 6, Mucho. He's 8-1 morning line. And what do I like about this horse? Well, what I like about him is right here, that 92 buyer, which was his first race, or maybe it was his first race for the new trainer, John Ortiz. And that 92, the nice thing about that 92 is it was a small top also on the sheets. And if we scroll down to his 2-year-old year, in his second race at Saratoga as a 2-year-old, this horse ran a 90 buyer, which is a pretty strong buyer. You may remember that race. It was he won by like over 9 lengths. And then he was in the Hopeful. He was favored in the Hopeful. He ended out finishing second. Anyway, those were 2 very strong numbers. And I just think that now that he's with a new trainer, he's got the potential to move forward. He hasn't developed that much. He ran a 90 as a 2-year-old, and he just ran a 92. So he hasn't developed that much, but the 92 does indicate that, he's beginning to improve, and he's got upside. As a 5-year-old, he has potential to kick this race open. 8-1 would be nice, and possibly you'll get a little more than that because he was 9-1 when he won that one race, and that was only by a neck, and it was an optional claimer. So that's one horse to consider. And then we're going to move to Aqueduct. And Aqueduct, we're going to go into the 6th race, and that is the Carter Handicap. Now, there are only 5 horses in this race, so you might not be expecting much of a price, and Mind Control is actually only 4-1. But, it might be a good opportunity to get this horse at a little bit of a price, and nobody else is going to have him because it's only a 5-horse field. Now, everything is dependent on price, but the nice thing about Mind Control is, he ran a pretty good race here, but he's disappointed in his last couple. He didn't do anything at the Lafayette in Keeland in November. And then at Gulfstream, he didn't do very well. Well, this trainer's not really, outside of the Atlantic coast, he's not really that effective. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't play him in either of those races. This is where he's effective. Aqueduct, 4 for 5, including winning the Tom Fool last year. So, if he goes off at 4-1, he is completely capable of bossing these horses. And, Mischievous Alex looks fast, and Chateau did well in his last race. But, they may react to the big efforts that they ran, and they may also be completely overbet. I mean, look at, he was 4-5 and 2-5, Mischievous Alex, in his last 2 races for hot trainer Saffy Joseph. He's going to get hammered, so maybe Mind Control goes off a little bit of a price. All right, now here's one that's very speculative. And I'm going to go to the 8th race for this one, the Excelsior. Now, this is speculative. The horse is Grump's Little Tots. He's 20-1, but he's trained by Rob Atras, and he was always a pretty good horse, and he really likes the distance. So let's see if I can make a case for him. See, he's 5 for 2, 2 for 5 at the distance, and he's 3 for 7 at Aqueduct. And he won that last race at 1 1/8, and that was his best race ever. Now, I'm not sure how it looks on buyers. It looks like, he ran a 92 in August, and he ran an 83 here, but on the sheets it was the best race for him. And I thought I saw the race and he looked really gutty. He only won by a nose, but then he galloped out best. So I just think that this horse could possibly have some upside. Rob Atras, sometimes he works magic, and sometimes when he gets a horse going good, they keep getting better. And Grump's Little Tots might not win this race, but maybe he comes in second at Capper Country price. So that's another horse to consider as a long shot play tomorrow. If you don't like them, then toss them. And welcome back. We are coming up on the Santonita race 8, the last race at Santonita. And we've got 4 minutes to post. Chris, I know you sort of like this race. So what did you come up with?
Well, I liked it a lot more when I thought there'd be a 3 to 5 shot, the 5-horse Nerves of Steel, but that horse was scratched. So now you're not going to get the same kind of prices you were going to get before. But I really like the 1-horse dropping down, getting the blinkers. Last race looked strictly like a prep. Also gets a good change in riders. But it's kind of with the scratch. We're looking at 4 or 5 to 1 instead of 6 to 8 to 1. Right now it's 9 to 2. But I think that horse is going to run a much improved race in here. There's several others in here that are playable we can talk about, but I'd like to hear who you like in this race, Scott.
Well, I don't really like the race, and I would probably pass the race overall. But I don't know. I'd probably roll with Lemonade Stand if I had to. I mean, if I had to pick a winner, but I wouldn't choose to pick a winner in this race because I would choose to pass this race. But Lemonade Stand, ran a couple of okay efforts as a 3-year-old. Has been off for almost a year. The trainer can have him ready off a layoff, and it's getting played. It's 5 to 1. It's 4 to 1 morning line. I think the 5 to 1 is kind of fair based on his chances. So that's what I would roll with. But I wouldn't normally be playing this race. It just doesn't excite me. A second time, a lot of second time starters, but not even stretching out, right? I mean, to me, like, you can really filter out when horses are stretching out from 6 furlongs to a mile, from 1 turn to 2 turns. Not as easy for me to handicap when it's just a second turf race.
Yeah, I like these races quite a bit. The other, I like second time horses. And the other one I like is a second timer, the 2-horse June Gloom, who I thought in the first try going on the turf ran pretty well, kind of made a move, flattened out. I was in that Nerves of Steel race, got away a little bit slow too. So I think a cleaner break and a little better time move in here, and that 2 could be real dangerous. And it's 8 to 1 right now. So
yeah,
to me, it's.
I assumed that horse was going to get bet. I'm kind of surprised because it's a Peter Miller horse on the turf sprinting. I mean, that's what he does.
Yeah, they're really hammering the 3-horse McWhirter, and that's kind of inflated the odds on the other horse. He kind of inherited the role that the favorite would have had that scratch. So, for me, it's the 1 would be my top choice probably, but not far behind is the 2. And based on the price right now, I'd probably go with the 2 over the 1. But if I were any of those top, 5 or 10, I'd be on either the 1 or the 2, and I would definitely play this race.
Okay. But you have landed on the 1, right? So that I can root for that horse.
Well, let's see. I didn't expect this disparity in price to be quite so high. But I guess I'll go with the 1 just because in this kind of race there is signal in the tote board typically in these maiden races, and when you get a Peter Miller horse that seems to be a little dead on the board, that's probably not a good sign. I may regret that, but I'll probably go with the 1 then.
I guess it depends on where you were on the leaderboard anyway.
Yeah, if the 1's good enough to jump me to the lead, I think I'd go with that one. If I was a little farther down, then I probably would opt for the 2, especially now that they're 7-2 and 9-1 on the board. So quite a big difference there.
Okay, and just we did have a leaderboard update. There wasn't that much movement because not that many people hit it, but Brian Chenver moved into 3rd place, and the best mover was Andrew Walker with no parking here, and they're off. So let's reload. And the leader, Chris Bertolucci, goes with Lemonade Stand. That's the horse that I was on as well. And it went off at 6-1, or it's currently 6-1.
Yeah, a lot of horses did not get away well, including both the 1 and the 2. Right now, McWhirter's out there on the lead at 3-5. It does look like the 6-horse Union Bliss is in a kind of a good spot, and he's 16-1. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I know that 8. I'm not sure about that 8. I'm not sure if I love where he is right now.
He's getting a pretty good trip. I mean, he's within striking range. The 1 horse got left at the gate, and he's got a lot of horse coming up the rail there. That 1 horse, a little bit unlucky early on, but here he comes. He might be the 1 threat to the favorite here late, but it doesn't look like he's going to get there. He's kind of a little bit plotty, but the 1 definitely ran the winning race with a better start. That was definitely the live one, but I don't think he's going to get there. It looks like it's going to be 3-1, but at least you would have picked up a few points with the 1 horse.
Yep. And the 5th and the 6th place finisher both had titrate, so they will move up a little bit. Salvador Simeone may, that'll actually move him up into 3rd. So he's got a chance at getting day money, but he doesn't have a play in the last race. Nicholas McMurdy also moved up a little bit. He doesn't move up in position, but he does get some points, and he still has a play. And Chris Bertolucci still has 1 play.
And the 1 did go off at 5-1.
Yeah, and good call on June Gloom. Weighing that. That's my point of like Pete Miller sprinting on the turf. Like it's weird, especially since the horse had trouble, and that was a good call by you to not go with that horse, even though it was a higher price.
Yeah, that sometimes they're especially depends a lot on the race, but certainly maiden races and horses off layoffs, that odds board can tell you something from the better stables. Yeah, the 1 did win the gallop out. They don't pay for that, but he really did get away slowly and didn't really do well crossing the dirt, and just lost the race right at the beginning. But he ran a big race. I'm sure he'll be probably odds on next time he goes out.
A couple of people in the top 50 actually had McWhirter at 2-5.
Yeah, and it'll turn out that McWhirter at 2-5 may not pay a whole lot more than titrate at 5-1 in the contest. There won't be a big separation there. So that Nicholas McMurdy, he is probably not going to be enough to move him up any. Salvatore, like you said, Salvatore looks like he might crack the top 3 if he can get lucky and not get passed up. Maybe he hits some day money in that spot.
Yeah, it's so now there's only 1 race to go, so that day money really obviously comes into play. And right now, Salvador Simeone, he's going to move into 3rd, and that's a pretty good place to be. Better there. Would you rather be 3rd with no picks left, or in 5th with 1 pick left?
I would probably rather already be up there, but it's kind of hard to hold everybody off in this format. I'm looking at how bunched up the leaderboard and how many Actually, the way the leaderboard is, it's not that bunched up. There's not that many people, that can pass you up with a chalky pick in the last race. So,
And actually, I think it's a long shot race. So I look forward to seeing what happens there. Uh, uh, you know, it's a pretty good race for the last race of the day.
yeah, I mean, you always have more more opinions about Golden Gate than I do. Most of these races for me are what I would call inscrutable. Um, uh, they just all look the same to me on paper, and I just always end up just gravitating towards the bigger prices without really good reasons for doing that. So you have always had better opinions on these, so I'll be interested to hear what you like, in the 8th race at Golden Gate, because for me, this is not the kind of race I would typically play. But I would probably have saved a pick for this race.
It is official, and McWhorter paid $5 total, and Titrate paid $4.20. So hardly any difference.
Right, about the same. Again, why playing those heavy favorites to win if you like a price horse in the race, you can almost do as well if you get a place, as those heavy favorites to win. That's just something to keep in mind in this format.
All right, so I guess we'll switch to the Golden Gate race. Might as well go with live screen, because there's only 8 minutes to post, and it's a good handicapping race.
Yeah, and we can talk a little bit about the leaderboard, because it is interesting. We've got some people that are, have no plays left, that are right now in the cash positions. So, and there are the people behind them that have some plays left. So it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. And the people in the top 2, Basil has held his one pick for this last race. He had one pick about 5 races ago. So it'll be interesting to see what he picks with his last one. He needs $13 to pass up Chris Bertolucci. Chris Bertolucci's in a pretty strong spot, with a $13 lead going in the last race. That'll probably take a couple of the horses off the board, that he can just skip past, because there's no way anybody will beat him playing those horses. So that's a pretty strong position in this last race.
All right, I'm looking at the prices. I liked the race, and I'm just trying to see like where I'd be going, and I see I'm going to have a play. I'm going to have a play based on being far back and being up close. So there's definitely a difference in play based on where I am in the standings, or in my opinion, the way I would play it. You didn't really like this race?
Not particularly, but I mean, I had a couple picks that I figured I'd want to probably play that race. But just from a contest standpoint, certainly probably the 3 and the 9. If you're Chris Bertolucci, you don't need those. Those horses win. You probably win. So you're not going to get passed up by people who play those horses. So, for him, he can kind of go beyond those and say, who does he like after those 2? And even the 1 horse is kind of borderline usable if you're trying to catch. Basil's about the only one who could probably play the 1 and pass Bertolucci. So he's in a strong spot. I mean, he's got like 2 or 3 horses in the bag already, and so he can go, past that. He's got quite a few horses that can help him win this day money.
All right. Well, what do you like in this race?
For me, it's kind of depends on where you are on the board. There's 2 horses I was looking at. The 5 Final Frontier is one who I was interested in. at a pretty good price. And then if I needed a bigger price, I liked Hula King as kind of the real long shot. So those are the two I was thinking about in here. I think the problem 5 I would like more, but he seems a little bit pace compromised in here. There's not a lot of speed on, and he's kind of the one that comes from pretty far out of it. But certainly his best races could win in here. Hula King, not he's more speculative, but I think in this kind of race anything could happen, and he'll be 15 or 20 to 1. So those two are the ones I was the most interested in. And then just from a pace standpoint, it looks like the 2 could get the lead. And if you need a total bomber, you might at least get a cheap thrill for the first quarter or half mile with the 2 horse in a race without any speed at all, really on. Other than 6 horse, the 2 horse looks like it should get a good lead in here. So those are the 3 probably from a contest standpoint that interest me.
Well, we're pretty much on the same horses, except for the 2. I don't think that horse has a chance. But the 5 final, I did not analyze the pace scenario, and that's steadied me well so far. So so I'm not going to bother worrying about the pace scenario right now. But that's sort of my mid-price horse. So if I'm near the top, I'm probably playing that horse, right? But if I'm the very leader, I might play Hula King, who I also like, just as protection from, somebody like Stephen Thompson passing me up there.
Yeah,
like you said, a 5 to 2 is not going to get anybody right behind him there. They're going to need a bomb. So like I would try to get the day money. The 13,000 it's real money.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't ever get a good feel for these cheaper synth races that they're
Well,
just
this is a
for me
turf.
tough. Or that's right. This is on the turf. So it'll be interesting. I think that when they're paceless, that's when a lot of chaos can occur. So that this race, I think you do want to go for a price for sure. And it's just which of those price horses do you like the most? And which is going to get the trip? If it's going to be a slow pace, who can take advantage of that, and who's going to be compromised by it?
Yeah, it looks like the 2 has never run on turf. I mean, since you mentioned it, I might as well take a look at it. And it has like one big number sprinting on the dirt. So yeah, I'd have a real hard time. But you're right. It does look like it's got a good chance of having the lead.
Yeah, it hasn't gotten the lead in a long time, and when it has run well, it doesn't win a whole lot. But I mean, going long on the turf might be just what it needs to do. I mean, I kind of like the fact they've been stretching it out. Now it was a sprinter, and they've been stretching it out. Now it's first time going around 2 turns on the turf. If it clears early, it'll probably fold late, but it could be 30 to 1, right? What is it right now? 38 to 1 or something. So in a contest, it's kind of
45
like
to 1.
45 to 1. Okay. So, that's a definite cap horse. But, is it a great bet? Probably not. But if you're looking for a cap horse, you could do worse than that horse. But Final certainly looks a little bit more likely, but he's a lot lower price as well. And coming from way out of it in this race, it's probably not the way you want to do it.
Yeah, I think I would definitely go with Hula King now at this point, just because the horse almost won the race on the lead on November 8th at Golden Gate on the turf. So, I mean, the horse is it's gonna have some positioning most likely.
Yeah, I agree.
And and it has a win on the turf. So
Yeah, it looks like it's better on the turf, and certainly the connections think it is. When they can run it on the turf, they do. All fall and summer they stuck on the turf, and then they couldn't run it on the turf when they had no turf racing, and now they're back on the turf, and they're right away they put it right on there. And this is a new trainer. I like, that they're going right to the turf with this one. And like you said, it definitely has more positional tactical speed than the 5. And you're getting a good price. What's the price now on that horse? And 12 to 1?
12-1.
Yeah. So if I were playing this race, I would either probably I'd go Hula King if I'm near, in striking range, and I'd go if I'm just farther down the leaderboard and thinking about tomorrow and I had a pick left, I would take a flyer on the 2-horse Mosquito Fleet. I don't think the horse is impossible.
Okay, so the light at Golden Gate, that little siren light, the blinking red light, is that the 2-minute warning or is that the 30-second warning?
I think that means that they're approaching the gate. So whatever whatever the approaching the gate means.
Okay, whatever it is, they haven't even started loading, so
Yeah.
it's kind of a
So
red
if
herring.
you're Chris Bertolucci and you've got a $13 dollar lead, you're not going to play the favorite for sure. Probably not going to play either of the top 2. Who do you play? Who's the play in there for you if you're on top?
There's 2 horses that there's another horse that I'm sort of interested in as well, and that's the 10 Exeter. The horse is 4 years old. It just ran its best race on synthetic, and it may prefer turf, and it's getting back to turf. So if I'm Chris Bertolucci, I'm playing either the 8 or the 10. Probably the 8, but even the 5 at 8-1. I think you want to. I think if I'm up there, I want to protect myself from any double-digit kind of score. So that's what I would do.
Yeah, I agree. You want to go for the price, and I think the 8-horse is probably the most dangerous one of those double-digit odds. So that's who I would go with, and that's probably who I would be playing. If I were any one of those top few guys that have a pick left. And let's see, that's Stephen Thompson. If I were even him at number 5, that's who I'd probably go with. That would get me, at like 140, and I just have to hope that the 3 guys ahead of me with picks, or actually 2 guys ahead of me with picks.
We'll soon find out.
Yeah, don't go with that one. Yeah, well, it'll see who's going to walk away with the day money and a little bit of swagger, $13K richer at the end of this race.
Don't forget, Anthony Matera still has a pick. And Chris Bertolucci goes with KPD Day at 4-1.
And Basil DeVito picks a horse where he was dead. He's dead to the winner with that horse. That's just a bad pick if you wanted to win the day money, which I'm not sure why you wouldn't.
Stephen Thompson takes Exeter.
Took your horse.
He takes home day money if Exeter wins this race. And Miguel takes Hula King. Now he's a little far back, but that horse is 18-1, so he would also win with the 8.
Did anybody go with my Mosquito, who's on the lead as expected? Anybody go try to get a little sting with Mosquito? Nobody picked Mosquito. Not a soul on the first page, anyway. I'm sure somebody did, but Mosquito winging it on the front end. Maybe he's gonna get brave. He hasn't been on the lead in about 6 months.
No, he actually he was on the lead 2 races ago. In fact, he went on. Now he's 20-1, which means he got pounded at the end.
Yeah, and the 4-horse is all in and not being able to catch him. The 9-horse looks pretty strong, but like I said, even the 9 wins, Basil has no chance.
I think I would watch out for Exeter.
I don't get that pick, but right now the 2 horses still got the lead.
Some horses making a move, and it might be the 8 Hula King.
Yeah, but Mosquito is still on the lead at 20-1. He's getting tired now, though, but he gave me a thrill.
But the 60-1 takes the lead. And here comes the 7. And here's the 7, Chris Bertolucci. Can
He's
the 7
trying.
get up for Chris
Well,
Bertolucci?
it doesn't
No.
matter. Who was it that had the win? The 4?
The 4 won it, and let's see who had it. Ryan Leeper. Now, I don't know if he's actually not going to catch the leader, but that will be capper
Actually,
country. That'll give him 120,
that would that
131.
would have that would have won it
Oh, you know,
for him
yeah, it
if
will.
Bertolucci hadn't gotten second.
Yes.
He if he had not had the 7, he would have lost. So he's probably gonna finish first, but with the place price and that pick, the 4 horse will vault Ryan Leeper all the way into second and get him some day money.
And let's
So
see
that
if
was a
anybody
good
else
pick.
had that 4. Wow. I'm going to go to page 2 just to see who else might have had that 4. No respect for that 4.
No, that was a tough one to come up with, but he did, and it's going to pay him like almost 10,000. What's second price? Die money $8,257. That he got that because he has a dog named Cool or something. Who knows why he picked that horse?
Well, actually, I mean, I had that as one of my long shots, but I just didn't go with it. But
Well, yeah. I mean, it was
I mean,
one
he
of the
wasn't like it was not like that crazy to have that horse. Final gets up for third.
final for third, and that one came down to a good pick to me, the guy who made the good pick was Chris Bertolucci. I mean, that was a good play. He picked the right horse, and if he hadn't, he wouldn't have won the day money. To me, great Ryan Leeper, congratulations, but he took a stab at one of the bombs and he got lucky. And that happens a lot in these contests, and it's great when it can happen. But to me, the play of the day was Chris Bertolucci's horse didn't win, but it won him the day money. So good job on a good day for Chris. And congratulations to Ryan for.
It is official. Let's see if the leaderboard updates. Not yet. The prices haven't come in yet. Sometimes that happens on the last race of the day.
Yeah, they're trying to calculate the pick sticks, if there's a carryover and if there was scratches and all that stuff. The pick, I thought the bad pick in there, I shouldn't say that, but the
Boyson.
Yeah, I don't understand the thinking that what Basil was thinking, why you would pick a horse that doesn't give you a chance to win the day money. I guess maybe he was thinking, I just want to try to hold on to second, maybe. But to me, that was kind of a weak pick there of the plays that were made. That was probably the one I would question the most, and the one I think was the best play was that Chris's play.
Now we have to allow for the possibility that he had plans on Friday night and
you already had the pick in, maybe.
Yeah, I mean that's possible.
Yeah, but he knew he was near the top of the leaderboard a couple hours ago, and I can't believe he's not checking his cell phone or something.
Prices are in, and Ryan Leeper gets up for second.
$130 winner. This is why I don't play Golden Gate.
This is why I do play Golden Gate.
Yeah, that's how the races are, though. They all look the same. You just pick the prices, and I don't know. I just can't handicap these races very well, so I'm not disappointed it's not in the contest tomorrow. I know you like it, and so more power to you. But this kind of a result doesn't surprise me. But to me, I do as well with the dartboard as I do with the racing form at Golden Gate.
Well, it's an exciting day. Chris Bertolucci does pull it out for the day money, and we finally got a capper, and Ryan Leeper is the one who capitalized. And let's see who else might have capitalized. Mark Vitaliano moved into 18th. James Lee, Brent Sumja pops into the top 30 with a Hail Mary in the last race.
Well, I'm
And
guessing there's
Robert,
probably 40 or 50 people that had that horse that or down at like 10 or 20 bucks for the day, and now all of a sudden they feel like, oh man, I'm up at like 80 bucks.
no, there weren't that many people. In fact, only I think they're all in the top 50 because 64 gets you into the top 50. So one, two, three, four, five, six people picked that horse, 6 out of 311.
Yeah, the only thing I can think is that a lot of people didn't save a play for that race. That's all I can think of. So that's a good example of how this format, I think, is superior to the all mandatory. If this had been an all mandatory play format, at least 150 people would have had that, or at least 100 would have had that horse. So, probably the
Yeah,
other.
but keep in mind that there were three capper horses in
Yeah,
the race,
I'm right.
including the
You
one
have
that
100 people on all three of them, and then you're going to have the people near the top of the leaderboard on
yeah.
the
Well,
other.
there was only 300 people in the contest, so
Yeah. I'm just
but
saying it
but
would
I
have
get your
been. I
point. I get
guarantee.
your point.
In fact, I bet you there was an all mandatory contest on horse tourneys, and go look at the leaderboard on that and see how many people had that horse.
No,
And
you're absolutely right. I get the point, but I agree with you. I like the choice of races as well, and that's why I like the NHC. I like there are some mandatories. It's just so like you're forced, to make some bets, and you don't have to agonize over 18 different decisions, but you still have an opportunity to make 10 optional plays, and that's what makes the NHC like the best contest out there.
yeah, it's a good mix. And it does add some more strategy. Not only do you have to pick the horses in a race, but you have to do some race selection as well. So, I do think this is a better format. It's kind of nice. It would be kind of nice if the last couple races everybody had to play them, but if they were cut, what I like about the NHC is you have this cut line, so you don't have a bunch of people stabbing in the last races, but you got all that final table, everybody playing those races. So, that makes it a little more fun as well. But this was a good start to a big contest, and Chris Bertolucci, he played it well. He played it well all the way, down the stretch. Ryan Leeper got a little lucky, but sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And there's nobody that's got threw up a huge score, right? 130. That's not an outrageous score for 15 races. So, people in mid pack, 60, 80 bucks, you have a good day tomorrow, you could still win it all. So to me, it's good. A lot of people still in it, and I'm sure they're right now going to go get something to eat and start handicapping for tomorrow.
Yeah, and so just to wrap it up, we'll just go over the prize money. For the day money, 13,762 to Chris Bertolucci. Ryan Leeper gets 8,257. Third place goes to Basil DeVito, 4,128. And fourth place goes to Salvatore Simeone, who gets 1375. So congratulations to those gentlemen. And we look forward to interviewing some of the players on the top leaderboard. We're not sure, but we'll probably try to reach out to Stephen Thompson since we have his phone number. And anybody who's up there who's interested, if ping us on Twitter, and we will possibly interview you for this for tomorrow's show, just to hear about the strategy that you employed. I believe that will that'll wrap up the show for tonight. So thanks a lot for joining us, and we look forward to tomorrow, where we'll be able to. It's going down to the stretch, and it's also going to be probably a lot more price horses because there's a lot more activity. So a lot more
Definitely,
classy races.
the classy races. I'm not sure about the prices, but top level racing, pretty much the entire day. I mean, we have three great cards at three of the major tracks that are in the contest. And then when we start our coverage with Santa Anita, they have, one of their best cards of the year. So certainly the quality of racing will be top notch for that contest for the second day.
Absolutely. So I think that most players appreciate top quality racing. And of course, as fans, we also appreciate top quality racing. So thanks a lot for joining us for the Horse Tourneys Players Championship, second leg of the Tourney Triple. We will see you again tomorrow night at 7 p.m., same place. And we'll be sending out a link to that live stream an hour before the post, an hour before 7 o'clock tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night. So thanks again. And